Richard Skipper celebrates. Every show is a celebration. Richard Skipper celebrates the best in entertainment. Each show, Richard delivers the artists you love, showcasing what makes them unique. Never gossipy. The antidote to a sometimes hectic world. Now, here's your host, Richard Skipper.
Happy Friday, everyone, and welcome to Richard Skipper Celebrates. For those of you who are here for the first time, welcome. My show is all about celebrating. It's about celebrating life. It's about celebrating art. It's about celebrating artists. And there's a lot to celebrate if we just take the time to look for it. And there's a lot to celebrate these days. You know, just before we went live today, I saw a tweet from a friend of mine, and today is, believe it or not, National TV Dinner Days. And she said that when she was a young girl, getting a TV dinner was an exciting time. Remember getting a TV dinner and how excited you were as a child? And you would pull back the little aluminum foil, and there was the corn, and there was the Salisbury steak, and there was the apples, and it was exciting to get it. And she said, now the magic is gone. I said, no, the magic is still there if you take the time to look for it. So grab your favorite TV dinner or a facsimile thereof. Grab your favorite TV tray and pull it up, because right now on your TV screen is David Joseph and Richard Skipper. And there he is wearing a Richard Skipper Celebrates mask.
There you are, Mr. Richard.
There I am. Oh my God. I want to say that, this has been a very trying time for all of us. But last year, a year ago on September 5th, I had the good fortune of meeting this man virtually. We sat down, not knowing each other. All I knew about him was what I discovered on the internet. And this conversation unfolded, and I got to know him as many of my viewers did. And I fell in love with him. Daniel, his husband, knows that. My husband, Daniel, knows that. And a few weeks later, we got together in Provincetown with our mask on, of course. We had a dinner. We sat down, and for 4 hours, we didn't shut up. It was as if we had known each other our entire lives. And just this week alone, he has been in New York designing a gown for Amy Spanger, who is about to perform this Sunday night at Studio 54. He's been, I'm sorry?
The 19th, so the Sunday.
The 19th, yes. Also in Provincetown with Melissa Manchester. He's also been back and forth with Melba Moore. And in the midst of all that, he takes the time to fit me in for a second helping. So, David Joseph, thank you so much for being here.
Hi, Richard.
Nice. Hello.
Yay.
So how are you doing?
To mention, I've been to your house for parties.
That's right.
Sat down, all these fabulous people sing around the table and have the most glorious, and you threw a little birthday party for me. So you're my love. You're my buddy.
Yes. I mean, that's one of the gifts that's come out of COVID. But I want to ask you, a lot's been happening. We're going to go over the past year, the pluses, the minuses. Today, I also want to know, it's apropos that you're here today, because today is the anniversary of the patent of the sewing machine. Did you know that?
I only know it because you put it up online. I thought you were going to say because it's National Hot Dog Day. I thought that's why you had me on today.
Yes.
But I did know. Yeah, I just found that out because of you. Mm-hmm. Yep.
So Let's first of all talk about, and you need to speak, get a little closer to the microphone,
Yep.
so that we can make sure that we pick everything up. I am fighting a little allergy here, so bear with me on that. But I want to ask you, how are you doing really? You have been doing weddings and everything else, and unfortunately, as with everything else, life, dealing with passing, transitions, everything else, do you have time to just sit and collect your thoughts and be in the moment of what the enormity of everything else that's going on in the world right now?
Okay, to answer your first question, how am I doing right now? We are actually doing really, really, really well. We're so grateful. My husband Danny and I, we're so grateful because we survived the initial round of COVID. We helped a lot of people by making masks. We survived in business. We made incredible new friends during COVID. So many silver linings that it's crazy. Um, but also the schedule, once COVID was ending and all the brides and everybody was back from pre-COVID days, everything happened at once and everybody needed their dresses immediately. And the brides were calling saying, "My wedding's back on, David. It's 2 weeks from now. Is my dress done?" I said, "Well, Carol, I haven't seen you in a year and a half. Oh, by the way, I gained 22 pounds. Is my dress done?" It's like, no, but we've gotten through that part. That part's finished. So we've delivered on all of that. And now we're at a good place. There's just regular orders, and my fabulous ladies who wear my clothes. The way you celebrate everyone, I celebrate my Melissa and my Melba and my Amy and all these fabulous ladies that I get to dress. And everybody's back on stage again. So everybody is. I'm working with everybody for clothes. So it's a real good balancing act right now. Yeah,
Well,
but I'm good.
and I love the fact that you absolutely do celebrate these women, and you do put them on a pedestal, literally and figuratively. And I believe that everyone is meant to be celebrated. Sizes, I mean, who didn't put on pandemic weight? You and I both, I'm proud to say, we have been taking off
Yeah.
the pandemic weight that we put on. I'm proud of you. We both have gone down. I put on a belt today that I wasn't able to put on a month
Yay,
ago.
Richard.
So, so God bless you for that. But, I was talking to someone day before yesterday, and she said she thinks of this year as, remember when we were children, perhaps this didn't happen to you, but it did happen to me, where my father would say, "Go to your room and sit there until you think about what you did and come back and tell me why you did what you did and what your punishment should be." And so she thinks that we have all been sent into timeout because of what we've done to the planet, what we've done to each other.
Mhm.
And this is a collective pause for all of us to go into timeout. And some people still are not paying attention.
True.
And some people, we are all paying the price for the fact that people are not paying attention. And I'm not going to get political. Neither one of us are going to go there. But what are your thoughts on the life lessons that you've learned over the past year and a half?
I have really deepened my faith has been deepened, and my strength in my gratitude. I want to say I've been blessed, but I also want to say I have worked so hard for 45 years that to be at this place in my life with my husband, with our lives, with our love, and with the business, I go to bed every night knowing that I am blessed and I am full of gratitude, and how we're all the big thing I've learned is how we're all linked together. How for example, a wonderful, close, dear, wonderful friend of mine today told me that she has cardiomyopathy. Danny, what is it called? Cardiomyopathy. Dilate cardiomyopathy. Anyway, and her doctors in Arizona are not giving her a lot of time to live. And well, it
Wow.
just so happens that one of my dearest friends is the head of cardiology in 5 hospitals in New York City. So I immediately hooked her up with my friend Jeff, Dr. Jeff, and now he's going to be working with her team to this isn't something she should die from, but so hopefully, but I mean, we're all connected. What I can do for her to help her survive through my friend Jeff. I don't, you help each other. You love each other, and you we're here for one reason on this earth. We're only here for
Hmm.
one reason, and that's to put our arms out and lift somebody who isn't as fortunate as us and lift them up. Not put your foot on their head and stomp them down. You lift people. And when I can lift, or I can help, or I can sell a ticket, or I can post something online because one of my friends is doing something and I think my friends would be interested, I love that. That's just who I am. But that was who I was before COVID. COVID has deepened my love and respect for my talent.
Hmm.
In all honesty, to go through a year and some months of making masks and only making masks, I found it all consuming, almost harder than making dresses in the sense that it was so repetitive, but I found it amazingly creative because I was designing my own fabrics. Look, the way we just did the Richard Skipper fabric. I mean,
Which I
not the,
love.
the
I can't wait
logo.
to get them.
You're getting them. Yeah. They actually, I think, I mean, I'll
And
see if I can.
our viewers, if they want them, they can have them. I mean, they just
That's
need to
right.
reach out to me and ask for them.
Yeah.
Yes.
But
So,
so all of that has been a whole new experience creating fabrics and creating designs. I now have a mask because people are so fed up with this whole variant thing. The mask says variant proof, motherfucker.
yeah,
MUTHFUCA. So it's
yeah,
hysterical and it adds humor to all of this ridiculousness.
which we
So
have to
that's
have. We need the humor.
yeah. Yep, absolutely. Or this, if you can't laugh at yourself or laugh at other things around you, you're going to go down the drain. You have to find the humor.
Well,
Richard, you
one
look
of the
gorgeous.
things,
Richard, your face is so slim now. And look at your cheekbones. Look at you.
I mean, my cheekbones are,
You're like
well,
a
thank you.
model.
Well, doing my research last year, I mean, now I know you personally, and I love you so much. But before, I sat down, the thing that I kept reading about you and hearing about you, and one of the things that I don't ever like to do when I'm going to interview someone is to listen to other interviews because I don't want to be influenced by other people that are interviewing you. But I have listened to other interviews since then. And the one thing that I keep picking up on from other interviews is the fact, long before COVID, is the fact that you've taken your talent and the ability that you have is you have been at the forefront of doing benefits and charities long before a lot of other people were stepping up to the forefront. What is it deep down inside for you that you have, that you are out there doing this? And it's magnanimous. It's you don't, and you're not always doing it to get your name in the spotlight either.
I was reminded a newspaper, the ARP affiliated newspaper, AARP. Can you imagine me at 24? And an affiliate of the AARP newspaper did a beautiful story on me. And the guy who interviewed me was pretty remarkable. And he went through my whole career. And he asked me a similar question. And he reminded me that when I was a little kid, I would do backyard carnivals for muscular dystrophy and donate the money to Jerry Lewis and his. That was something I forgot about 50 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess it's just, I can't take credit for it. It's just the way God made me. It's just me. It's just who I am. Listen, I once said something to Melissa Manchester. We were sitting in her living room and I said, what is it like? When I first met Melissa, I spoke to her about how, as a young bullied gay man at 13, 14, in a new school where I was a typical 13-year-old, but I was now in a school where girls were pregnant, the guys were riding motorcycles and shaved twice a day, and I didn't fit in, and I was bullied all the time. And her particular song, Home to Myself, way back when, saved my life. And I get to say that to her. And I said, what is that like for you? And Melissa's response was exactly what my response would be to your question. I'm just me. And that's just who I am. And that's just the way my mother and parents, they made me grow up, and God gave me what he gave me. And that's just who I am. We've always, listen, when the 80s came and AIDS started, my husband, Danny, and I were together from 1980, and we lost a lot of friends. But I could use the notoriety I had in Boston to do events and raise a lot of money and donate a lot of money for AIDS research, and then onto breast cancer. And now I have my own charities for animals. And again, it's just who I am. It's almost embarrassing. It's weird to talk about yourself like that.
Well, it's a fact. It's very interesting. The other day, I posted a photograph. We're going to talk about the 3 M's of entertainment right now. Mitzi Gaynor, Melba Moore,
Yeah.
Melissa Manchester,
Yeah.
And dropping names.
Yeah.
And I posted a photograph the other day of Melissa Manchester. Mitzi Gaynor
Yeah.
on her birthday. And a friend of mine on Facebook posted that she was envious of the life that I was leading. And I wrote to her and I said, this is not, these are friends, but I've worked for this. You worked for this. I don't take for granted, but these people are important in my life because of what they bring to my life, not because of their celebrity.
No.
And I know you feel the same way.
Exactly right.
And I want to talk to you for a moment about you as a designer, because you have gotten the opportunity to design these incredible women. And I know that you treat the brides that you design for, the women that you design for, just as you design for the major celebrities that you design for. Every single person that you design for is a star.
Absolutely right.
And
Absolutely
but when you're designing, what is your first goal when someone calls you and says, I'm getting married, I've got this event coming up, this is what I'm looking for? How do you do the planets start spinning around your head?
No, it's so simple, Richard. It's the simplest thing in the world. You listen. All you do is listen. Whether I'm talking to Melissa, because we're working on a big project right now and she had certain ideas, and I listened. Or I'm talking to a brand new mother of the bride who's walking in for the first time, we're meeting for the first time, I listen. I have been given this weird gift that a client can walk into my office, and to me, the minute I meet them, I see the dress on them. I know what it is that I want to create. I never push that on them. When a client comes in, I will sit with them. We chat colors and look and what her particular style is like. But in my head, I know what I want. When I do present them a week or two later with sketches and swatches and all of that, I will have in the grouping of sketches the idea that was in my head when we first met. And 9 times out of 10, that's the one they will go to. It's just this crazy link, this thread, no pun intended,
Thread
that connects everything to my head, to the talent that I've been given. And it's just it's a weird gift. It's almost like I'm like clairvoyant. I mean clairvoyant. I'm a comedian too,
Yes, that's right. That's right. And this week, 2 of these iconic entertainers just happened to be performing in Provincetown at the same time.
Yep.
And what is the experience for you sitting in the audience, seeing these women on stage wearing your designs?
Okay. You want the real truth? The real truth?
I'm going to interrupt for just a moment.
Yeah.
Is it still that little boy
Yes.
watching Kay Ballard on the Merv Griffin show?
Yeah. Yeah. It's complete insecurity. Listen, we're sitting at Melissa's concert on her sold out show on Wednesday night. And I know enough to know where my place is. You know what I mean? I don't text before shows. I know Melba, I know everybody has their own ritual before shows. It doesn't involve me. So I'm not going to start saying, are you wearing one of my outfits tonight or anything like that? Because it's inappropriate. It's not about me. This is about their night, their concert, their sold out, their fans that are here. So when Melissa came up on stage and she had on my black one shoulder with the gold trim and the pants and everything, there is a real sense of, I kind of exhale and then I smile and I feel honored and blessed. And it is exactly that 13-year-old kid, that 16-year-old kid. It is, and so many things go through my head. When Melissa came up on stage the other night and opened with Midnight Blue in my outfit, oh my God, even now I get all, it was just a moment. Dreams come true. Life is crazy. And I believe if you work hard enough and you're a good person, things will come your way. But that was a moment in my life. It's a snapshot in my brain that will be forever, that here's this incredible lady that I've loved all these years. Now I have the opportunity to work with her. And she's singing that song, which reminds me so much of 1975, being on the beach with my friends, Karen Dietrich, Karen Baer, Diane Dietrich, all my friends from high school. And that was a moment in my life back then, listening to Midnight Blue, having Melissa's first 2 albums before Midnight Blue, and being a fan. And now I designed with her. And then we're backstage last night working on her new project, and we're buddies. And it still is odd. But listen, Melissa said the sweetest thing to me in the world last night when she was talking about Amy Spanger and that I'm working with Amy and all this wonderful stuff. And I said, can you believe, Melissa, do you believe my life? She said, do you believe how lucky I am? I get to work with you incredible women. And she said, and we get to work with you.
Exactly.
So it's very Mika Brzezinski, to know your value.
Yes.
And I know my value.
And that book is on my shelf.
I'm also still the 16-year-old kid who has to pinch myself. And that's a good thing. I don't.
Well, did you see Beanie Feldstein the other night when she was on Jimmy Fallon? Did you see her?
No. But I know.
Well, she's going to be playing Fanny Bryce in Funny Girl on Broadway. Yeah. And when she was 3 years old, she dressed as Fanny Bryce in Funny Girl for Halloween. She showed this picture, and I don't know if I was manifesting at that time, but here I am all these many years later, and this is happening. And I do believe that there is this, it's almost like this silver thread,
it is.
That ties it all together, with this through line that goes through this. Again,
my first Broadway show when we were kids in high school and I was in the drama department, guess what my first Broadway show was? Pearly with Melba Moore. I mean, there it is again. Now we're buddies, and I call her and she calls me, and we make these dresses, and she's wearing one of my dresses for a big concert in New York in Prospect Park. I think it's this weekend. This fabulous, that blue dolman. Oh, it's gorgeous. But it is pretty remarkable. But by the same token, Richard, I get to create. Did you see the butterfly veil we did for the wedding?
I did. Will you talk a little bit about that? Because that is an amazing story.
This is my entire heart. This is who Danny and I are. My friends, Frank O'Donnell from classical high school, he was a year ahead of me, married his girlfriend, Karen DeAngelis, who was in my class. So we've been friends through life. I mean, we didn't see each other all the time. We lost touch, but then we became Facebook friends. And then I would see Frank at different things in Providence, my friend Karen Dietrich's, her retirement party. And we reconnected. When their daughter, Kayla, got engaged, they came to me to do Kayla's wedding gown. This is pre-COVID. And I knew the story of their beautiful daughter, Carrie, that was tragically killed in a car accident. It was the 3 daughters, Karen and Frank's 3 daughters, were in a car together going to the beach. Something happened. The car tipped over. The 2 older daughters survived, but Carrie died. And Carrie, from the funeral on, the family feels as though Carrie comes to them in butterfly form. To the point that Frank, in their beautiful home in Jamestown, has a garden in the backyard where he planted milkweed and all these things that butterflies are drawn to, because there was always a butterfly. There was always a butterfly wherever they were. There was a butterfly on his shoulder, on the garage. There was always a butterfly. So when the wedding happened, the fourth attempt for this wedding, I told Kayla, the bride, that my gift to her, and we were going to the wedding because we're friends. My gift to her would be a veil, her veil. But they didn't know what I was going to do. So now it's the day of the wedding. It's in Newport, Rhode Island. It's in Jamestown, Rhode Island. We were staying in Newport, and it's the weekend of the stupid hurricane that was coming that hit Rhode Island. But they were good. The Saturday was good, and I presented them with the veil, with the butterflies from the base of the veil were all the monarchs in the color, and as the butterflies ascended to the top of the veil near her head, the butterflies turned white, like they were going to heaven. And it was a beautiful moment.
It was magnificent. I saw the pictures.
It was a beautiful moment for Danny and I, and it was just touching. And it was more than a tribute to Carrie. It was a tribute to the family. That they are getting through this. It's horrible, but they're one, and they are a beautiful family, and I get to do that for the family, and it's remarkable. What about the dress I made for the lady who survived Auschwitz?
Yes.
Oh God, she's just delicious, and now we're doing something else together. So I see. Here I go.
No.
But this shit really gets to me because it involves so much more than sewing. It involves my heart, and there's the difference. You bleed for these things.
Well, I want to getting back. I mean, we at this time we would have thought that we would have been beyond COVID.
Yeah.
When my Danny and I went to Provincetown in July,
right?
We hit Provincetown just as this major COVID outbreak hit Provincetown at the same time. And then we planned a trip to Kenya and Nairobi in February, which now has been postponed a year.
Oh, that's the Lucy Arnaz one, right?
Yes, the Lucy Arnaz trip. Yeah. And this just got postponed a year. So it's these constant moments of limbo that we are in. We are still there. What elements of where we are do you think that you will be carrying through in terms of the way that you're doing your work beyond this? I mean, obviously, I don't know how you do it. You're traveling back and forth between Provincetown and Boston and New York. And, when
Provincetown was a lovely moment. We got mountains of work done. So we could take a couple of days off. We could enjoy Best Level on Sunday night, get back to Boston, and get on the train to New York, because I have a beautiful bride in New York that I'm dressing, and work with Amy Spanger on her 54 Below show, September 19th, my friends. And there are still a few tickets left. I want everybody there. For the reason that Amy is so freaking fabulous and delicious, and my little boo, and the talent. But to see what I'm making her is so much fun. And we have fun with Amy. We just sit and gossip and chat. Anyway, my point is the energy comes from the look what I get to do. Look what I get to do. I mean, how can you not?
Did you and Amy go on the Ferris wheel?
Did what?
Did you go on the Ferris wheel in Times Square?
No. What do you? No, I don't know what.
There's a new Ferris wheel in Times Square.
No way. It wasn't there when we were there last weekend. It wasn't there yet.
Maybe
we're back next weekend, so I'm sure I'll see it. How cool is that? I'll go on it. I love rides. Unless they go this way, because I throw up. But if they go this way, I can do it this way. Yeah. But I'm just, Richard, every moment. Listen, I have an analogy, and it's a good one. Okay, take it all in. When I meet with a client, it's like being at a fabulous party in Boston. When I'm delivering their gown, no matter who it is, celebrity, I don't care who it is. When I'm finished with everything, it's like being at the best Broadway show in New York. But in the middle is Connecticut. Not that there's anything wrong with Connecticut, but it's flat and dry, and you've got to go through Connecticut to get through. So when I take on a project, I have to realize I have to really like the client or the celebrity, because I'm going to be in Connecticut for several weeks making that garment alone, possibly on a Sunday afternoon when I want to be home resting or watching Netflix. And I have to put myself 100% because I sew the clothes. So it's a mutual respect thing, and and of course it's financial. My clients are very generous. They pay what we ask, and it gives me the opportunity to do charity work. That gives me the I can't do this without doing that. I can't dress Melissa and my girls unless I'm doing this for these other. It just all connects. It's all connected, and but it all stems from everything we do, whether it's come up with a charity, help on an event that we have nothing to do with, that's not my event, but we're there to help, or make robes for little kids with cancer. It all stems from the place it comes from is the heart. And then it becomes the same thing with masks. Then it became a business, but it was a heartfelt thing that got us started.
How has social media impacted the work that you're doing? I know that with the work that you're doing in the mask, and I'm so excited about the mask that you've done for me, and I have a few other masks that you've made for me as well. Some of my designer coats that you've designed masks for. But how has it really impacted the work that you're doing? And are you finding that people are really discovering you on a whole new level now that they would not have discovered you in if COVID had not happened?
Before COVID, Richard, when hello?
No.
I can do a good Ernestine. Before COVID, Richard, we moved from Boston in 2008 when my mother died. It was just a bad time. There was a cloud, and we were moving out of Boston. My mother died. I was so burnt out with my business, and we moved to Waltham, and I worked with my friend Yolanda, who unfortunately just lost her beautiful husband last week. We buried him. But these are friends, lifelong friends. She's my mentor. She's my love. She's everything to me. I moved my business. I cut it all down, and I made it just me. I went back to my beginnings. I went back to my roots, as Paul would say, where in Lexington, when I was 19, I had my own little shop, and I did custom work. That's what I did when I moved back. When I moved out of the city, I moved into Waltham. I just went back to doing custom work. I liked being with the customers. I liked that part of the exchange. But I came out to Waltham to retire. I was done. I was burnt out. I stayed out of work for about 4 months. I got really fat because I was depressed. And it was just human shit that I had to deal with. I had to deal with a lot. And social media, I don't know, made me have a resurgence. I don't want to say that because my career was always good, but it just brought me to other people. And there was no way for retirement. And I put up one piece on Facebook before COVID about a beautiful Orthodox Jewish bride that I was doing and some Orthodox dresses, because I was always working with the community. But now I posted about it. And the Boston Globe picked up on what I was doing and ran a huge, beautiful, my wonderful friend, Danny, help me. Who wrote the story on Jill Radskin? My beautiful friend Jill from the Boston Globe wrote this incredible story before she left the Globe. Richard, to this day, can I tell you a quick funny story about?
Oh yeah, of course.
Okay. So Mary Callanan, my link to Broadway. Mary, you love
yes,
me.
Mary.
Love Mary. Well, Mary
on the road with My Fair Lady now.
Right, on the road with My
Mary,
Fair Lady.
if you're watching,
she's back singing, back on stage. I mean, Mary was a working singer, the clubs in P-Town, all that kind of stuff. But her dream was to be on Broadway. Long story short, I've always dressed Mary. Mary made it to Broadway. Mary's in the closing cast of Mamma Mia a few years ago. My birthday's in July, and she said, "Look, I got you and Danny seats. July 11th, you're coming. I've got you great seats." And the article in the Boston Globe came out on July 9th, something like that. So it's just a couple of days before. We go to see Mary in Mamma Mia, and it's just so ruckus and glorious and fabulous, to the point that they're doing "You Can Dance, You Can," and the woman sitting next to me says, is that your sister up on stage? I said, what? She said, is that your sister? Because she keeps pointing to you. I said, no, but that's my friend Mary. So we meet after the show. It's about 10:30 at night. We're with her husband, Larry. She comes out stage door signing autographs, and we're walking away from the theater. And she says, look, I'm taking you guys to a place where you can't act like you. I said, what? She said, you can't like be starstruck and go up to people and talking. But that's what I do. I like going up to people and talk. I always think if you're going to compliment somebody, who doesn't want to hear a compliment? I don't care if you're famous or some guy who's sweeping the street. If you're doing a great job sweeping the street, I'm the type of guy that says, you did a fucking great job sweeping that street, and I love you for it. So the point was, she was telling me to keep my mouth, just be a gentleman. And I said, look, I'm not from some asshole state. I know how to act. Don't worry about it. I know what to do. Don't worry. And so we get to this restaurant, and it's Joe Allen's, but it's the Joe Allen's above, so there's no name on the door.
Right.
It's like a lot of Broadway people go there. We get there, it's about 11:15, and all through dinner, this a Hasidic Jewish man and his group are sitting at a table out just left of my eye line, just that way, or that way if you're looking at me this way, because I guess I'm reversed. And I said to Danny, my husband, so Mary's sitting in front of me, Larry's in front of my Danny, so it's a four top. And I said to Danny, that lovely Jewish man keeps staring at me. I think he thinks I'm George Costanza from Seinfeld. And then the whole night went on. He gets up from his table, he walks over to our table, sticks his face in my face and says, hello. And I said, hello. And he said, I see your face every day on my refrigerator. I've got your article from the Boston Globe. My daughter's Orthodox. She lives in Boston, and she wants you to design her gown for her wedding next year. Okay, I'll tell her I met you. It's nice to see you. And I couldn't get a word in edgewise, and I was like, oh, wow. Long story short, I did make it. We did meet and all that kind of stuff. But now Mary's sitting across the table, and she's looking at me like...
She must have fallen off of her chair.
Did you go in the bathroom and pay him to do that? I said, I haven't left the table the whole night. No. I said, but Mary, please, know how to act. Don't take pictures. I don't want you to react that I'm a celebrity or anything. And she said, but I'm the celebrity on Broadway. I said, well, you got competition now, bitch. But it was just so funny. But social media brought me...
That is such a funny... That reminds me of a funny... I'm going to share a story with you. I worked with this actress many years ago, and her first cousin was Joanne Woodward. Oh, and so she was bringing a friend to New York, and they were having lunch at Sardi's. And she said, whatever you do, do not fawn over her. She does not like the attention. Do not act like she's a star, whatever. So she says, no.
I'm like that too, Richard.
No,
yeah, I don't like to act like a star.
I will not. I'm not going to overreact. Please, I won't do anything. So Joanne Woodward walks in. She goes, oh, my God, I can't believe I'm going to meet Joanne Woodward. And she goes crazy. So Joanne Woodward comes to the table, and she's, oh, my God, Miss Woodward, I am such a fan of yours. I've seen every movie that you've made. I love you. 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 And your husband, what's his name?
She couldn't come up with Paul Newman?
And Joanne Woodward says, any woman who refers to my husband as what's his name is a friend in my book.
Okay, that's pretty perfect.
And they became friends.
That's pretty perfect. Yeah, right? I mean, my thing
that is a great story.
If you're going to be nice to somebody and tell them you love their work, how can they not?
Right.
It can just be a quick thank you, or it can be, well, isn't that sweet? And then, they'll test you. And I met Melissa at 54 Below. We met online first, but it was a Melissa Manchester, Michael Feinstein concert. And very long story short, she spent a lovely amount of time with us after the show outside. We took pictures, we chatted. We do know Michael Feinstein, so we weren't like crazy people. We were like stalking. So the next morning, I sent Melissa via Messenger, the pictures we took. And I said, you were so gracious, Melissa. You took the time to hang with us and chat. And it was just so lovely. I knew you'd be that person. And I said, by the way, I think you know that I'm a fashion designer, and it's always been my dream since I was 17 years old to design for you. And she sent me back a note, and she said, okay, what did you think of my outfit last night? And she was in a beautiful tuxedo. And I said, well, you look elegant, statuesque, standing at the microphone. I said, but when sitting at the piano, I would do something with more of a swing back, something that's easier on you. So when your arms are extended, the jacket doesn't get tight across the shoulders. And her message back was, "Why, could you see my bra line?" And I said, "That's not for me to say." And she said, "Okay, sketch for me." And that's how we started this relationship, because I mean, I would never say anything else, but she knew what I meant and what I was
also, I mean, you also took it in a gracious way. You didn't, make a judgment on what she was wearing, either positively or negatively.
Right.
You were very honest and straightforward with if you were designing what you would have done for her.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, we've talked about all the positives and everything, and we live in a world, again, on Twitter this morning, some guy made a comment about criticism, and I said, I don't understand. No. Just in general.
Okay.
And I don't understand the need. There are a lot of people that criticize for the sake of criticism.
Yeah. Right.
There's a lot of negativity out there, and if I see it, and you and I've had discussions privately, I just hit the hide button so that I don't see it and I move on. Yep. I don't want to add to the conversation. I don't want to be a part of it. There's enough of it out there. I'm about celebrating, as you know.
Right.
So I want to ask you, have you ever had a situation where something that you have created, you put it out there, and of course, once you put something out into the world, maybe it didn't get the response that you thought it would get, and maybe it was criticized in a not so positive way. And if so, how did you deal with that criticism? And I ask this question for anyone who may have dealt with criticism and how you got through it.
Okay, I can tell you two things. One from years ago and one from current day. Years ago, when Michael Dukakis was running for president, I was dressing Kitty. There was a series, there were about three of us, three designers who were dressing Kitty for hopefully her way to the White House. And Kitty was lovely and joyful and delicious to work with and charming and brilliant and all that kind of stuff. W Magazine at the time put a big, remember how big, or this big W pages were, and it was two-sided. So it was the whole full thing. And the headline was, if Kitty Dukakis makes it to the White House, she may not give up her cigarettes, but the byline was, but she has to give up those David Josephs.
Oh my
and then
God.
wait, it gets better. Then they proceeded to with photographs of Kitty, photograph, and asked designers, which I was really shocked about, I won't mention their names because it's not worth it, to critique the outfits and what was wrong with them on her. However, not one picture was one of my outfits. So they dished me. They put up a thing. These designers are criticizing my designs, but none of the outfits. Not one picture of 12 were my designs. So I got in touch with them, and they retracted. They put an apology, 2 months later in the back of the thing. No, who cared? More recently, I have.
Now, before you go to the more recent one, I have a question for you. The person who wrote that, did he or she have an agenda against you?
No, I wasn't. I don't know. I honestly, I couldn't imagine why. I was just a little shithead Boston designer in 1988. Granted, I was cute as a button. Oh, God, I was gorgeous. But I mean, I can't imagine somebody having an agenda. Maybe they had an agenda against a non-New York designer. I mean, I get that all the time. Well, you're not in New York. So it's almost like, well, you're not really alive. You're not here. You're not creating, giving birth to dresses because you're not New York. I had a dress pulled from me for somebody very famous for an award show because I wasn't a New York designer. And yet I was 25 years on 7th Avenue with my showroom and sold every store in America. So when it comes to that kind of crap, I don't have the time to battle it. It's part of what it all is. So I know the name, and something else wonderful always comes, and I'm not going to battle with that kind of negativity. More recently, my lawyer, when I was 30 years old, was this gorgeous hunk of man, Scott Brown, and a lovely friend. Scott later went into politics, Republican, became senator. He won over, I can't remember who he ran against, but he became a senator. I've known Scott his whole adult life, my whole adult life. I know their daughters, Ayla and Ariana, and I've dressed his wife, Gail. Gail was an ABC affiliate here in Boston. I would dress her for the Oscars. She would report. Anyway, we're all friends. We've been friends. We've been friends before Trump, and we are friends after Trump. But when the political landscape changed and Scott was getting the job as the ambassador to New Zealand as a Republican, I got such hate letters and even people I knew, not the people I knew weren't full of hate, but they were like, how can you possibly contribute to helping Republicans? And it's like, oh my God, this is not who I am, and it's not who we are. I mean, granted, I wouldn't dress Melania, but these people are my friends. They've been friends long before and long after. So of course, you know what I do, Richard? I take a picture of the letter. I kind of fold it a certain way so people can't read the whole letter, but they can see the beginning of it. Dear Mr. Joseph, I've always admired your work, but now I think you're a complete shithead, kind of thing. That's how it started. And so I
want to ask a question.
I put it on Facebook because it was unsigned. So I said, whoever sent me this, please give me a call. Here's my number. You have so many things that you think are facts that you have completely wrong. And let me explain to you how I can work for someone you don't like politically. But I never heard from them. But I almost made it into a joke. I also got a designer in Rhode Island. I woke up one morning, 5 o'clock in the morning. I'm in the bathroom, and Facebook thing, and it says this designer said something about you in her post. And I look at it, and it was, oh my God, my head exploded. It was this horrible, horrible criticism of me for making masks, some cheap Joanne fabric shit, and that I would make money on the pandemic and all this stuff. And this was at the beginning when we had donated 10,000 masks. We did a charity drive on GoFundMe. We made $20,000 in one day so we could have 35,000 masks manufactured in Fall River and donate them to the hospitals. And this person this was in her mind that I was making cheap shit masks from cheap Joanne fabrics, and went into a whole diatribe about me. So I looked at it, and of course it hurts my feelings. Because it's not the truth, but I also know who I am, and I know that's, you know what, you deal with stuff like that because stuff like that comes your way. But of course, I copy, pasted, put it on my Facebook page and say, can you believe this shithead said this about me? And then I had to take it down, Richard, because I have such loyal, beautiful friends, beautiful people in my life. They were starting to go after her, and I didn't want that either.
Mm-hmm.
Let her live her life. If she doesn't like me, I'll just unfriend you. It's no big deal. I don't know you well. I've met you once. I don't know why she would think that about me. But it had little to do with me. It had more to do with her. And but I also didn't want my friends and fan base to go after her and do threats or do anything that's happening in the world today. I don't want to contribute to the negativity. So I took it down. But we had a good laugh over it.
But I do want to say that one thing that did happen this past year is you got a letter from the White House.
I did.
Yes, that was exciting.
I have it right here. Danny, don't I have
it?
Yes. I did. We got a letter from Joe Biden.
It's not framed on the wall?
Not yet, because my husband takes a long time. He wants to scan it and get into the computer first, but he hasn't done it yet. So It's going to be framed on the wall, like where's my stuff? My Harper's Bazaar thing. Where's my arm? There it is. Harper's Bazaar and my Boston Globe stuff, and those things are on the wall. But it took 20 years to get them on the wall. So catch me in 20 years. I'll be 80, and finally Joe Biden will be up on the wall. No, but it was really remarkable. We sent him masks and with the German Shepherds on them, and they received them. And it happened to be the weekend that I believe was Major died, the older German Shepherd. And when Major died, he had written me a letter already. So Major dying and the letter crossed in the mail. So it was even more special that we got this beautiful. And it was more than a thank you. It was thank you for making masks. Thank you for being an essential worker. Thank you for helping during this horrible time that we all need to contribute, and you're doing your part. So it was personalized. And now it was his signature. I don't know who wrote it, but in my mind, Joe loves me, and that's all that matters. Okay, that's it.
Well, who doesn't love you?
Oh, stop.
Yes. No, but so I want to ask you, what's next for you?
I'm going to have my Weight Watchers dinner in about 15 minutes. Oh, you mean career or long term?
Is it a TV dinner?
No, it's not. But I will be eating it in front of the TV. So that kind of is the same thing, right?
Did you? Let's talk about.
Oh, Hungry Man.
Did you grow up with TV dinners?
With the fried chicken? Oh, the Hungry Man fried chicken. I used to do 2 of them. My mother would kill me. But the mashed potato, and it was the baked apple. Remember all that?
Well, that's what I was talking about at the beginning of the show. Oh. My mom, she didn't. I mean, well, I grew up, on a farm in South Carolina. If my mom and dad were going out on a Friday night, mm-hmm. and we were going to have a babysitter, and we were going to have a TV dinner, yeah, that was the greatest thing in the world.
I agree. I felt like we were in the Jetsons, peeling off the tin foil. It was like a Jetsons meal. It was so, who knew that it would probably give us all cancer and horrible things, but at the time it was delicious. So no, in the future, we're pretty busy. We're back in New York for Amy Spanger at 54 Below. Beth Level is the night before at 54. The night after is Haley Twindell.
Haley Swindle?
Yeah, yes. Haley is, so we were talking today, so we're going to stay in town to see Haley at the night.
Are you dressing Haley as well?
And I don't dress her, but you know what Haley did? When they did the big Liza Minnelli's 75th birthday, Haley was performing Say Yes, Life Keeps Happening Every Day, which is actually like my theme. You got to say yes to shit.
Yes.
Nick Walker on Broadway, our beautiful, he calls us his gunkles. Nick, who starred in Hamilton, who's now the star of Temptations. We just saw him in Sweeney Todd up in Ithaca, and was brilliant. And he said, how do you meet all these people? When I met Amy, he's like, how do you know Amy? And I said, Nick, we go out of the house and we meet people. We're here and we're there and we're everywhere, but we meet people. But I forgot my point.
Haley.
Haley. Yeah. So we are doing that, but we're back because I've got a couple of weddings in Boston. I've got a woman who's in a tango contest, and I'm making her a tango dress. So I'm booked through the rest of the year.
That's wonderful.
Career-wise, so we are booked solid.
That is wonderful. And if I bring my show to Provincetown next summer, I hope that you'll dress me.
Dress you? Oh my God! Yes. You'll have me who dresses you, and you're Danny who undresses you. I have an Danny who undresses me too.
Okay. So, as we do our wind down, this is my homage to James Lipton and Inside the Actors Studio. This is my new add-on, and these are just some fun questions that I pulled. What is the best quality that you inherited from one of your parents?
My talent from my mother.
Great. What is the single biggest mistake that you've made as a son?
My mother and I had a falling out at the end of her life because she was in the midst of brain cancer and pushed me out of her life and wrote me out of the will and did that whole thing because she was listening to someone pretty evil who was in her ear. And I should have gone back and said, I don't care what that person's saying, and I don't care about the will. That's not why, you're my mother and I love you. So that's something I regret.
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry.
What is the best memory from your childhood?
Ooh, that's a great question. Honestly, there are so many. I actually, you touched on it at the beginning of the show. The best memory, the thing that changed my life, changed the trajectory of my life and everything, was the Kay Ballard thing. Meeting Kay Ballard, having her talk about me on Merv Griffin, suddenly having WJAR Channel 10 NBC affiliate in Providence, the Providence Journal doing stories on me. And I went from the bullied kid now in high school, the fag who sewed, to like the captain of the football team. I understood in that moment, for the 4 months left to my senior year in high school, what it was like to be celebrated, what it was like to be the captain of the football team. I got it. And in the last 4 months of my school, I liked being in high school. The other 3.5 years sucked, but the last few, but it also taught me a lesson, because I shouldn't have been looking for validation from others to make my high school experience good. And I was a ballsy high school kid. Look, they would bully me, but I wouldn't let them stop me. I would still wear clothes I made to school. At 12 o'clock every day, I'd turn my vest around because it was reversible, and I'd have a different outfit on in the afternoon. I mean, I would have bullied me too. I was such a little queen. But
Oh my God.
But I didn't let them stop me. And that's kind of been my whole, I love when somebody tells me no. That's the greatest thing you can say to me, because I'm going to so friggin' show you. Yes. Yep.
Yes, I love that. What do you think is the most difficult thing about being a designer today?
Wow. I'm lucky. I don't have difficult things because I'm established. However, if I take it away from me.
Well, let me ask you a different question. What do you think is the most difficult thing about breaking into the world of design today?
See, you and I, cutie pie, we are so in sync. That's what I was going to change it to. I have a lot of young people who come out of school, and I sit with them and I guide them, but it's a different industry. There's no more Bill Blass, Jeffrey Bean, all of these, the houses, the brilliance. Now it's TJ Maxx and the Macy's all have the same dresses at Bloomingdale's, and I don't want to put down what they have. They're beautiful, inexpensive, beaded dresses that you can get for $300, but young designers don't understand what couture is. How do you break into a market when there are no designers? When everything is private label, there's no more, Saks Fifth Avenue, a high-end store, has a few designer things, and then it's Saks Fifth Avenue private label, and who knows what the designer is around it. So it's really, really difficult when you're a young person with the talent. So I advise keep these young people to find their way. They have to find their way into it. And I found my way by establishing my name as a designer before I was lucky enough to get into the stores and have a show and sell to Neiman's and Saks and Bloomingdale's. But all of the stores were available to me. And once you sell in one, Bon Martella gave me my start. Once I sold in Bonwitz and I was in their catalog, the flood waters opened. What's that expression?
The floodgates.
Floodgates. Yeah. So then I was in every store because one store took the chance with me and the clothes sold. And then it was just an explosion and we were everywhere for 20 years. So young people, it's difficult.
That's wonderful. What single word would you use to most accurately describe your parents?
Beautiful.
What would you most like to hear from your father if he was here today?
Bitch, I'm proud of you.
He would be, I know. What is the most extreme thing that you would like to do? I'm sorry. What is the most extreme thing that you would like to do that you've never done before in your life that just breaks every barrier, just to go out if there are no restrictions placed on you?
Get this waddle cut off. That's the big thing I'd like to do. I don't want to skydive.
I think you're perfect just as you are.
Gotta go. And the freaking camera angle in my house. I asked Andy to stand behind me and hold my neck up the whole show, but he wouldn't. Ugh.
David, you're perfect as you are. I want to thank you so much for being here today for part 2. We're going to do this annually.
Good. Absolutely.
But in the future, we're going to do it in person. Wouldn't that be fun?
Absolutely.
I want to thank everybody who joined us today. You could have been anywhere else for the last hour, and you chose to spend it with us, and I don't take it lightly. So thank you. If you enjoyed being here today, if this was your first time, please consider subscribing to Richard Skipper Celebrates. I'm all about celebrating artists like David Joseph and their body of worth. And it's not just David here. Check out there are over 300 interviews that I've done. Not only the ones that are behind me, but the ones that are coming up. And I've got a lot of surprises that you don't even know about yet. So hit the subscribe button. If you did indeed like this interview today, please, please, please hit the like button, leave a comment on YouTube, and share it with your friends. And also you can go to richardskipper.com and subscribe for the newsletter. There are all kinds of surprises there.
So that's how I do it, Richard. I go to richardskipper.com and subscribe to the newsletter. Okay, good. Yes. I will right after the show.
And you can subscribe to the newsletter, and I will not spam you. I promise you that. The newsletter comes out every 9 days, and it's like a TV guide, and it tells you what's coming up on Richard Skipper Celebrates. I also end every show by telling everyone to go out and do something nice for somebody else without expecting anything in return. Go to your Facebook friends list, and the first name that pops up, reach out with a phone call. Not an email message, not a text message, not a private inbox message, a phone call. And let that person know what they mean to you. Don't do what I do when somebody called me in the middle of a show. I hung up on that person, threw the phone in my file drawer. I'm going to find out who
it was.
It
probably Melba Moore. It was probably Melba Moore calling. And you
Melba Moore calling to do an interview. I'm still waiting, Melba. So anyway, we'll make that happen at the right time. As my dear friend David Friedman says, we're all in this together, but we're not in the same boat. And you never know what someone else is going through right now. But as I always say, if you're going to be out in a boat, make sure that you bring a skipper along. Now, I'm going to leave the screen, and I'm going to give you the final word, David. Anything that you want to say about anything that we talked about today that you want to expound upon, anything that we didn't talk about that you wish we had, or just any message that you want to put out to anyone who's watching right now. I want to thank you for being here right now. I love you dearly. I think you know that. I thank you for the gifts that you've given to the world and that you're going to continue to give. And I hope to see you on the 19th. I love you. Thank you.
I love you, Richard. Thank you. I guess my final thought would be what Richard and I spoke of earlier in the show. We are all here for one reason only, to put out our hands and lift the person next to us up if they need it. Whether it be a lady in a supermarket whose hair looks dynamite, or someone who actually needs financial help. My beautiful friend Amy is going through something right now, and I'm here to help her and hook her up with the right doctors and help her. Be there to help her. She may not have to work with me for it, but we're here to help. And that's it. That's what we're here on this earth for. To love, to be loved, and to help each other. Richard Skipper, I love you. Thank you.